Pharaoh's army marches across the desert with absolute confidence, unaware that history is about to break as a modern tank. Division enters a world that has never seen machines of war. War horns echo across the dunes as thousands advance in formation. Believing numbers, faith, and tradition will once again decide the fate of battle. Scouts suddenly freeze as the ground begins to tremble. Not from horses or chariots, but from something heavier, deeper, and completely unknown. Through the heat haze, enormous shapes appear, steel giants crawling across the sand. Defying every rule of nature the ancient world understands, this is no beast or rival kingdom, but the answer to what if a modern tank division landed in ancient Egypt? A future arriving centuries too early. Priests shout warnings as panic spreads. Torn between belief in divine punishment and the terror of enemies sent by unknown gods. Without warning, thunder erupts as the first cannon fires, rewriting warfare in a single fall. Deafening moment. Chariots shatter like toys, horses scatter in terror. And courage collapses beneath force no shield or skill can resist. Arrows rain down in desperation, only to bounce harmlessly from composite armor, turning hope into instant despair. The comparison is merciless bronze swords, measured in feet against layered armor, measured in 1,000 millimeters of steel and science. Commanders scream orders, but formations crumble as tanks roll through ranks that were never designed to face machines. Soldiers flee not from wounds, but from fear. As the psychological shock of unstoppable steel overwhelms, centuries of warfare tradition, chariots attempt flanking maneuvers, but speed means nothing when tracked monsters pivot and strike without slowing. A burst of machine gun fire erases entire squads in seconds, proving that bravery cannot close the gap between eras. Victory seems absolute. Yet modern warfare consumes fuel, ammunition, and resources faster than any ancient supply system can imagine. There are no supply trucks, no air support, and no replacements on the isolation in a world unprepared to sustain the future. As the battlefield falls silent, the tanks pause, victorious yet stranded, surrounded by an enemy already defeated by shock. Without fuel, power fades, and the most advanced weapons ever built become immobile giants under an unforgiving sun. Survivors whisper stories of metal gods and thunder weapons. Struggling to explain what their eyes have witnessed, life slowly returns to the desert. But the land remains scarred by a future it was never meant to encounter. Cautious soldiers circle the silent machines, unsure whether they are dead or merely sleeping horrors waiting to awaken. Trembling hands touch cold steel, discovering something neither alive nor natural, yet undeniably powerful. Priests declare the machines cursed, warning that disturbing them may invite destruction beyond human understanding. Deprived of fuel and support, the tanks stand frozen, indestructible monuments to misplaced technological supremacy. Days pass as sand rises and rust creeps across steel, slowly reclaiming what once dominated the battlefield. Stories spread faster than armies, transforming brutal reality into legend with every retelling. Within a generation, history becomes myth, and machines grow larger, louder, and more divine in memory. Craftsmen examine the metal with primitive tools, but knowledge fails them where imagination ends. Fearing divine wrath, Pharaoh orders the machines buried, hidden from gods, people, and time itself. The desert complies, erasing steel beneath sand, leaving no trace of the future's brief arrival. What remains is fear not of enemies, but of what the future might still hold. Chariots return, weapons are reforged, and war resumes. Forever haunted by the memory of unstoppable power, commanders remember the lesson. Numbers and courage fail when knowledge is unequal. The battle proves a harsh truth. Technology decides outcomes long before the first blow is struck. Yet technology without support cannot rule the past or survive it. The future arrived in thunder. Then quietly starved beneath an ancient sun, time heals the land. But the scar remains buried beneath centuries of silence. No written records survive. Only whispers and symbols hinting at metal gods that once walked Egypt. To the ancient world, it was divine punishment. To us, it is a warning. Power alone cannot conquer time. Even gods of steel must refuel, resupply, and endure, fade into history. Without logistics, the future becomes just another forgotten ruin. Ancient Egypt survives not through strength alone, but through time's patience. The tanks vanish, the desert forgets. But the lesson remains. What if a modern tank division landed in ancient Egypt? Not conquest, but the balance between technology, fear, and supply decides what truly survives history.